Elden Ring bosses. There's a lot of bosses. I was scared when I saw this list. There's so many bosses here. It's ridiculous. Now, with Elden Ring, people usually say that like the bosses are the worst part of the game. And I'm like, what? Are you insane? There is so much more to Elden Ring, to all of the Souls games than just the boss fights. And yet that's the only thing which most people look at. There's never a ranking of the areas, that's always the second idea. The first idea for a YouTube channel is always ranking bosses, as I'm doing right now, when it comes to Souls games, but there's like so much more. The main reason why I bring this up is because like, bruh, Elden Ring has a much bigger problem than its bosses. The bosses are not a problem. They are very good. They're probably the best in all of the Souls series. The main problem with Elden Ring is that every time you start a new character in Elden Ring, you have to go to the same exact places every single time to pick up the same exact items. It's golden seeds, sacred tears, the upgrade items. It's ridiculous. And it takes 5 billion years. It is annoying. I hate it. And basically like this pile of trash down here, that's basically the problem with Elden Ring. It has too much. The game would have been 10 times better if it was just much more compacted together into one small little pile. But anyway, Elden Ring bosses. Tree Sentinel. As far as tutorial bosses go, Tree Sentinel is quite good. He does not exist to teach you anything. He exists just to be there and be like, yeah, bruh, don't go here. Don't go here. The grace leads you right into his face to ensure that it beats it over your head that this is an open world game. What you're supposed to do is go anywhere else and get stronger. I don't know. When Margit asks you the same thing, people are like, bruh, Elden Ring bosses are unfair, but we're gonna talk about that later. Tree Sentinel, in terms of a fight, as a mounted fight, he's one of the best. A lot of the other mounted fights copy Tree Sentinel, but none of them get it as right. The Tree Sentinel has a very clear opening, which is the side where he has his shield, which is a little silly, because of course you think, well, his shield is there, he's gonna block me, right? No, he's not. But, you know, that's neither here nor there, but he's really good. Very clear opening. If you're not there, you're in a heap of trouble. Fighting him on foot or on horseback is both viable. Very nice. Erdtree Avatar. Dog shit. This is the worst fight in the entire game. I hate this fight. I hate the putrid version as well. This is nothing but a walking health bar. That's it. None of the attacks will ever hit you. There is one interesting attack that this enemy does, which is the one where they slam their staff into the ground, it explodes and creates the little explosive things which chase you, kinda. That's the only interesting part, because what you do is you run away behind him, and while it's turning around, while it creates the explosion, creates the little dots, and because you're behind him, you can just run and strafe the dots, and he's turning around to face you during basically half of the duration of that attack, so you don't have to worry about dodging both the bullets and his strikes. That's interesting. The rest of this fight, totally terrible. Just I'm tempted. Ooh, I'm tempted to do it. I'm gonna do it. He did it. Flying Dragon Agile. They're good. It feels a lot better to fight this dragon on horseback. Agile is here as like a representative of all the dragon fights, which are Agile clones. Yeah, sure. We gotta kind of speed up. If I don't have much to say, then I will not say much. There's a lot of bosses to go through. Knight's Cavalry. Alright, I like this fight. It's... Oh, I forgot the birds. I forgot the bird. Where is it? Where is the silly bird? I just realized that. Where is it? Where is the bird? I can't find it. I can't find it. I'm stalling. I'm stalling. I'm stalling. Does it not exist? It does not exist. Doesn't matter. I wouldn't put it anywhere interesting anyway. Knights Cavalry, average, worse than Tree Sentinel, for the simple reason of there is this one attack which they do, where like they juke you with their horse, they start running at you, then they dash to the side, to their left, your right. They don't actually like dash to your right, but just they dash to your right. Like in terms of direction, they dash to their left a little bit, like a little quick step to the left on their horse. They do this like 3 times or as many times until they are in range, and then they do this big swipe which you can jump over. That swipe is kind of weird and janky. It's not that I can't dodge it, but it's just goofy and odd. Their jumping attack, the one where they leap 15 yards like LeBron James to hit you with that jumping attack, that one's ridiculous. Does way too much damage, instantly kills your horse because of the tracking. It's stupid. I hate it. It's also like they really feel like just a knight on horseback, whereas the Tree Sentinel has like they jump up in the air and slam their shield into the ground, creating a shockwave which you have to jump over. These guys really just feel like oversized knight on horseback. Tibia Mariner, terrible. No, actually, that's the easy joke. Bad, boring. No, poorly executed. Because I get what's the idea. You're supposed to be swarmed by a horde of skeletons that this guy is summoning, trying to get to this guy while he just floats around. But of course, Deacons of the Deep, Abyss Watchers, whatever other thing I can't remember. Not enough skeletons for this to actually be threatening. Considering you can also be on horseback, no, not at all threatening. Terrible boss fight. Literally a walking health bar. Like the joke is you gotta find him, and then you do, and then you spend 3 years killing him. Wonderful. I love it. Yay. All right, boys and girls, it is time for us to accept that Margit the Fell Omen is an S-tier boss. The best, absolute best tutorial boss that there could have ever been for Elden Ring. Elden Ring has it. Margit is genius. The grace leads you right to him. So in case this guy did not teach you how to play this game properly, this guy makes sure that you will. You can bash your head against the wall as many times as you like. Margit is a lose more kind of boss. Once he hits you, which he will if you do not know his mechanics, once he hits you, it's very likely he's going to continue hitting you until there is nothing left for him to hit, which is to say you will be dead. So the only way you can cheese this is by either having your numbers so big that his damage does not do anything and your weapons instantly put him on his knees, or you learn the boss fight, which is not that hard. It's basically this thing, but a lot more complex. You just dodge behind him, near his tail. He will not do his daggers if you do this. He will not cancel the recoveries of his attacks with his daggers if you dodge behind him. And once you are behind him, the real fight begins, which is seeing if Margit does the tail swipe, which you jump over to do a jumping attack to put him on his knees earlier, or he will jump away and do some sort of combo that you do not like. I think in the second phase, the fact that he swaps more to... Where is he? He swaps more to the Morgott moveset, where the idea now is... Whatever, we'll get to Morgott. I think this phase 2 is a little goofy with that one attack, that one sword poke, which goes into the combo, which is super difficult to dodge. Is a little goofy. I don't really like that one, but that's like one small slight on this boss fight. No, this is an amazing boss fight. Godric. Honestly, great. And here's why. He's not difficult. He doesn't need to be. This is the same idea as there was with Aldrich in my Dark Souls 3 video. He is set up so perfectly. As you walk through the entirety of Limgrave, you hear about him. He's still a presence. He's doing things. You find ashes of his soldiers which describe things. You find the armor of his knights which talk to the history. You get a good picture of who Godric is, why he's doing his things, why he's stooped so low, and he has a very clear connection to you. You're a tarnished. He takes your limbs and grafts them onto himself. That's not only is that unique, but it's good. And then even if you go down to the Weeping Peninsula, you get even more lore connected to Godric. Amazing. Just absolute S-tier boss fight. Not all boss fights need to be difficult to be good. Also, the presentation of his fight, amazing. The music, amazing. The way it's like composed to be a little out of order, or a little odd and goofy, not just amazing. Red Wolf of Radagon. This was weird because I wouldn't say he's poorly executed. His idea works very well. Quite a shoddy idea that he's a glass cannon. Or she, I don't know. I have not checked, believe it or not. I don't spend most of my time in this game checking for what gender each boss is. But the idea is there that it's a glass cannon. The whole point is it's hard to hit, but when you do hit it, you take out massive chunks of damage. It's in an area with mages, which is ironic because against mages, being a mage is not that good. They have fairly high defense. The only thing you do have as a mage in Raya Lucaria is that you have range. You can stun them as they're casting, but you don't have the damage, so you hit them with the spell and then you run into rush. But against this boss, having spells, range spells, is quite good. Of course, you can't just spam them. You gotta time them a little bit, but that's also good. This is one of those better mage fights, which is ironic considering what's coming right after him. I would say average. It's fine. Yeah, it's fine. It's fine. It's fine. It's weird. It's interesting. It's goofy. It's coated with the sauce. He got that dog in him. Or her. I don't know. Renala, terrible. Bad, boring. Let go of me, Renala. Like I said with the Crystal Sage in Dark Souls 3, Renala is just an archer, she's not a mage. She just spams spell. The first phase, of course, is like not even worth talking about. No one cares. The second phase, that's the real fight. So, you know, just in case you needed another filler phase in before the real fight begins, the first phase could have been good. You know, there could have been interesting stuff happening in the first phase, and there is interesting stuff happening in the first phase, but it's not threatening. So basically, it's not happening. It's not actually happening. Oh, the chandelier drops from the sky onto you, and there's infinite patches of those kids falling down. The kids do nothing. The chandelier will never hit you, unless you are genuinely like not paying any attention during a boss fight, at which point how the hell did you get to Renala? Like, if you cannot notice the chandelier dropping, how did you notice that there is a path behind Stormvale to skip past Margit and Godric to get to Renala? How did you even beat Red Wolf of Radagon? How did you even get to Red Wolf of Radagon if you're not paying enough attention to get consistently hit by this, by the chandelier? No one cares. Second phase, she just constantly keeps trying to create distance, to cast spells. When you are in melee range, she does not use sword sorceries for some reason. Okay, cool. That would have been nice if it was like at least this idea would have put her at like average at best, but no. It would have been cool if like she was extremely oppressive at close range. So the idea with her is you create distance to ensure she does cast some sort of long-range spell. And while she's doing that, you quickly close the distance, hit her a couple times, and then get the hell out before she starts doing sword sorceries. No, she just flies away and does very You just chase her around. What a boss fight. Terrible. Not a mage, does not do interesting mage stuff. Miyazaki, you did not do it. You did not pull it off. Elemer of the Briar. It feels like there should be another boss in here, but I'm not trudging through all of this. Maybe I should, like... Makar, where is he? Where is Magmaworm Makar? He's fine. No, he's not. Poorly executed. Spams his run attack too much. Most of his attacks do not hit you. This fight is boring unless you bring friends. You bring Bogart, you bring Millicent, you bring Tragoth. Unless you bring them, this fight is totally boring. When you do, this turns into like a really cool raid boss fight and you can do some cool stuff, but I shouldn't have to create my fun to make a boss interesting. I should have a boss be super difficult in order for me creating that fun. Whatever. Bad. Elemer. Average, yeah. Keep him in average. He's an oversized knight. He's not interesting, but at least the attacks he does are interesting, and he does have like various different like get off me stuff that's not the regular shebang that you would expect of a Souls game oversized knight boss. He slams his shield into the ground. Sometimes it explodes, sometimes it does not. You gotta make the right choices, and that's interesting. His grab has a very goofy hitbox, so every time he pulls it out, you instantly stop and you're zoned in on that grab, on making sure you dodge. Because if you don't, he's throwing you in the distance and you do not want to be far away from him, which is also very interesting. So yeah, quite average. I guess he is well executed, but at the same time, he's not that fun to fight. He is just like swinging his swords from side to side. Godskin Apostle. Well executed. I love the Godskin Apostle. No, really, I do. They're great. Melina, the Glowmite Queen, I believe it. It's true. Absolutely true. But the thing with Godskin Apostle is sort of similar to what we will talk about with Melania eventually. This is kind of like a boxer type of boss. This guy keeps strafing to the side while he does attacks. You have to time your dodges like you're timing blocks in Sekiro. You have to stay with him. If you stay with him, you get a lot more action with it. He doesn't reward you as much as Melania does, but we'll get to Melania eventually. But yeah, Godskin Apostle is very good. The fact he also throws a bomb or a black flame at you, which drains your health when you heal, that is genius. The whole input reading is actually genius. I know I sound insane for saying that, but it's genius because, same as Margit, you can completely abuse this against the boss. Because they do not differentiate between what you're using as the item. You can throw a bomb, you can drink a flask, you can throw daggers. And that's the main one. You just throw a dagger, the fool dodges it, first of all. Second of all, he starts casting that damn firebomb, and by the time he throws it, you're probably rushing in, closing the distance. You get a free hit, just for simply buying consumables. Amazing, genius idea, genius way of incorporating consumables into the game. Especially considering that there are multiple consumables. So you can combine them, throw one that's useless, and while he's dodging, throw the other one which is useful, like poison or whatever. Same with Margit. Throwing daggers at Margit is basically the easy mode for beating Margit. You instantly make him do the least threatening attack, which is so easy to dodge, and then you end up behind him, which is exactly where you want him to be. Amazing. Godskin Apostle follows that exact ideology as well. Godskin Noble, second phase belly flop, cancelling the animation of his recoveries if you're in front of him. Again, if you're in front of him, Elden Ring bosses are unfair, they're unreactable, this damage is undodgeable. No. Positioning, hello. If you're in front of him, he does this. You also shouldn't just be close to him anyway. He's not as slow as Margit to dodge it, but other than that, he's fine. Is he fine? No, he's not. He's average, simply because of his belly roll attack. It takes 3 years. It should basically consider it as it. If he did the belly roll thing, and I dodged through it successfully, it should like end the same as if it hit me. Because if the roll hits you, he instantly ends it. He doesn't continue. Sometimes he does continue it. If he hits you at the very beginning of him rolling, it like doesn't register that the roll actually connected with you, so it continues rolling and rolling over and over and over. But if you keep your distance and get hit by it, he will consistently basically stop, I think. Hopefully. He never failed. That tactic never failed with me. And I played this game too many times. I shouldn't have said that. But if you dodge through it, it would be nice if it still behaved as if it hit you and he stopped the rolling, because I do not care about standing in the middle and strafing a little off to the right and left to make sure it doesn't even hit me. It's so boring. Wastes time. Shame, because the rest of the fight is pretty good. It's not as good as God's Apostle because it is very much a generic oversized knight fight, except most of his attacks are just in the front. He's just doing them up the front. He's not doing them from side to side. But other than that, he's good. Full-grown Fallingstar beast. This one has a sort of a dancer problem where it just spends chunks of the fight not doing anything. It's just like wandering around, letting it hit you, like not too many. This is an Elden Ring boss. You get like 1-2 hits, one jumping attack and a follow-up if your weapon is quick enough, and then it instantly does something. But it does just spend time just sort of strolling about, not doing much, which is hello. Other than that, it's average. It is average. The only reason why it is average and not like poorly executed or something is because it looks unique. It's a big rock ball or whatever. What the heck? What the hickety heck? It's goofy. Gravity magic is also kind of cool. Not that I like it in particular. Rykard. Well executed. Well executed. He is well set up. There's a whole journey you have to go through. You don't have to, which is kind of a problem in my opinion, but you sort of go through a whole journey up the volcano. There's individual sites of grace named first camp of the sites of grace, and you see how the Erdtree army basically like the Erdtree, the Leyndell capital soldiers are known for being really good at defense. And the crusade it did against Rykard up Mount Gelmir proves that they are very bad at offense, which is very nice storytelling. Because like it says that the walls of Leyndell have been broken like once. We know once at least, the fight with the dragons. And for some reason I think that it did happen twice, but I don't know when. I don't think so. But in the they don't handle sieges very well because Rykard is just sitting there. There's an entire manor and the people there are just chilling, being kind of cool, you know, getting swifty with it. And meanwhile, the Leyndell soldiers are out there cannibalizing each other because they ran out of food during the siege. Yeah, that's really good. This is good as setup. Then there's a whole quest. There's a whole pseudo covenant connected to this guy. He's a storm ruler fight, probably the hardest storm ruler fight. Not the best. I still think remake Storm King is the best storm ruler fight because there's not much you can do with a storm ruler fight except cinematics, which is what Rykard is. Yeah, that's well executed. He's good. Mimic Tier, poorly executed. NPCs are terrible at killing other NPCs. They just are. They don't know how to pressure you. They don't know how to mix up attacks. They just they're regular AI disguised as a player. But like the whole entire reason why Mimic Tier exists is it's supposed to mimic fighting against another player, and the player has your equipment, but they don't actually use it intelligently. Dragonkin Soldier average. Nah, bad. Why? Because they're Dragonkin Soldier, and their whole thing is like they're pseudo dragon. I'm including the other one with the wings as well. It's like a diet version of the regular dragon, but I wished you did like some interesting stuff. You have all these weapons, the halberd, the Dragonkin halberd, or whatever it is called, the dragon scale katana, and I think one more. Maybe, I don't know, I don't remember, probably not. But you have all these weapons connected to you, and you do not use them. And yeah, whatever. Regal Ancestor Spirit, bad. Rykard is a good example of cinematics. Regal Ancestor Spirit, you hear nothing of this thing. It just pops up, has a really good soundtrack, and barely hits you with 90% of its attacks. And has a massive arena that you have to chase it around in. This is Elden Beast before Elden Beast. And it doesn't even hit you, or is threatening, or is rewarding when you kill it. Bad. Valiant Gargoyle. Alright. I'm tempted to put it in, yeah, average. Why? Valiant Gargoyle, similar thing is gonna come up with Gods Can Do, but Valiant Gargoyle is not really actually a boss. It is a... how shall I put this? It is a boxing bag. You relieve your stress into this boss. Your strongest spells, your strongest Ashes of War, your strongest whatever your build has that is strong right now, you use it on them. They're basically a build check, which I kinda like, and at least they're a little interesting. The only thing which is really, really terrible about them is the fact that their damn poison attack reaches across the entire room, and it looks like you can jump over it, but you cannot. And also, it like instantly is like, get off me, please, and gives you poison, which would be fine if it just gave you poison, but no, it also damages you. The mist also damages you. That's a little too much. The gargoyles are quite nimble. They don't need this excessive, oppressive of a get off me move. Fuse champions, terrible. We were robbed. Elden Ring community, we were robbed of Old Monk 3.0. We were robbed of a PvP boss fight. Not only were we robbed of this from Fierce Champion, we were robbed of this from the gosh darn Great Jar Champions. We were robbed of Old Monk twice. F you insult me from software with this boss fight. In case you don't know, it summons players that have beaten it, but it summons only copies, which means same problem with Mimic Tier. It's just a stupid ass NPC. You instantly kill it, no one cares. 46. I should probably include Lancius in this. Average. Really good soundtrack. For some reason, however, sometimes it does happen that I just take 46. You are having sex with 40 people. What usually happens is I take 46 to like 30% health bar, and then he decides to go to second phase, which is ridiculous. Not that his second phase actually changes much. He gets one extra attack. Whoop-de-doo. And honestly, fighting the ancient dragons is not that fun in general. But 46, having sex with 40 people, does make it quite fun. because there's a whole gimmick of like, if you start hitting him, you get the lightning on you, so you gotta time it. That's kind of fun, you know. If the boss is basically usually going to do attacks which do not even hit me, at least this guy has some sort of defense mechanism, which is interesting. It's like a timer. So like, sneak in as much damage as you can before the timer expires, and it's pretty fun. Commander O'Neill. I would say poorly executed. No, actually, I would say Commander O'Neill is good, but Nile, Pyrocynical over here, Nile Calm Ass, is worse, but we'll get to him. O'Neill really does convey the whole, like, I'm a commander. He does, like, summon a whole army to fight you. I wish he did more of it. I wish he was more, like, summoning an army and you had to juggle that. He had less health, but he had more people which were just doing things, like a whole formation. There were archers in the back, there were the dudes with the axes in the front trying to sway you. There were maybe some great shield people also up close. They didn't chase you around the entire arena, but they would close the distance, so making sort of like a timer. But also he would have less health? Should he have that? At that point, like, you close the distance once, hit him with a couple Ashes of War, and he's gone. Maybe that's not the best idea. Whatever. Basically, just his gimmick does feel like just a gimmick, where I feel like it should have gone full on with the thing. He really should have, like, summoned an entire army and created some sort of interesting boss fight around that. But, you know, what he does is good enough. His moveset isn't stupidly boring. Starscourge Radahn. Now, that's a boss fight. Again, great. One of the reasons why... No, actually great. Yeah. Rykard is great. Radahn, again, the boss does not need to be actually difficult for them to be good, as made evident by Godric. Radahn, the whole Radahn festival, the whole setup of him being set up by everyone as this super great general. Some call him a warmonger, some call him like the greatest, most strongest of the demigods. Everyone says something about Radahn, and all of it is like, he's an amazing warrior. And then you find him and he's eating his own friends and enemies. He's desperate. He's barely even sane. He screams at the sky and he doesn't even know why. And the soundtrack is really good. There's a whole fake-ass festival done. It's like, oh, festivities, but actually, like, no, everyone group up and kill this motherfucker, please. Amazing. Yeah, he's good. I feel like fighting him not on horseback is a little blech. This is a very horseback-themed boss, which makes sense because... well, actually, no, it does not really all that much, because you can summon Torrent, who is a spirit, but you can't summon actual spirit ashes. What? I mean, I guess it's tied to the bell, or the whistle, ring whistle, but still. What the heck? Estelle, terrible. Why? Estelle looks cool, but usually it's just a waste of your time. Most of its attacks either do not hit you or do not do enough damage. They're not threatening. As soon as you realize, oh yeah, get like slightly behind his head, most of his attacks just do not hit you. He takes decades to kill. He teleports around the arena, so a lot of running. Amazing, cool. And then he just decides, yeah, I'm gonna have an insta-kill grab. What? Hell no! Hell no! Terrible. It's just wasted. No, it's not terrible, okay? It's not insulting. It's just boring. It's just boring. Morgoth. Gosh darn, Morgoth. You still got it, old man. You still got it. Morgoth the Omen King. This fight would have been even better if we had the cut quest line where the one dude talks about the king of Leyndell and then he figures out he's an omen, and it was that Margit is not just the hand of the king, he's actually just the king, lol. But still, what earns Margit such a high spot is the fact that, hold on, let me finish my thoughts before I change things. What earns Morgoth this such a high spot is because of how much he evolves as a fight compared to Margit. The whole point with Margit is get behind him, hit him a bunch, wait for what he does, and then he's probably going to jump away or do the tail swipe. With Morgoth, it's the exact opposite. You do not want to be behind him. Not because he's like gonna do some insane attack that will kill you, but because he will instantly disengage. Instantly, he will do that attack where he hits behind him and then jumps 15 yards backwards, making you run around the massive arena. You don't want that. Where you actually want to be against Morgoth is sort of the mid-range, just out of the range of his regular attacks, to make sure that he does some goofy attack, like the one where he starts stepping off to the side to charge up a slash, then he slashes to and dashes to your left to continue his combo, which you do want. You want him to continue his combo and end it with that big flurry of attacks, which ends in him slamming his sword into the ground. Then you can punish him. There's also, he's where Margit was very simple. Get behind him, hit him, then he resets. Jumps back, you do the whole shebang again. Morgoth is a lot more boxer type, like the Godskin, where you have to know your weapon, the speed of your weapon, and you have to, in between different attacks, sneak in hits. That's so good. That's so good. Same as Malin. We'll get to her. Fire Giant. Oh my god. Poorly executed. Takes 3 years to kill. Runs around the entire arena. At least you have Torrent, so that's good. But also, if you have Torrent, even if you don't have Torrent, then it's terrible. You run around the arena for 3 years just to stare at his dirty ass feet and hit him a couple times. If you do have Torrent, you're running a lot less, but you're still staring at his dirty ass feet and hitting them. That's it. Second phase is a lot better. Way better. The speed picks up a lot more. The problem is that the first phase takes a lot, and he has a lot of resistances. I think holy resistances are quite high. Fire defenses, of course, super high. So it takes a while to take him to second phase, but once second phase hits, it gets a lot better. Not amazing, but it gets a lot better. Godskin Duo. Alright. Listen to me. Listen, all you people. Listen to what I say. This fight is good. Why? Because it's a build check. You have fought with the Godskin Apostle alone, maybe even twice. You have fought with the Godskin Noble, probably twice as well, if you did the Rani questline. You have fought both of them in close succession if you fought with the snail, Spirit Color Snail. Them being together in a one big boss, there is no sort of I'm gonna hold back. I'm gonna give you only 10% of my power. No, you go all out on these guys. This is their last hurrah. This is the only time you hear the second phase music. This is the time where you are, after beating the main capital, you have beaten Fire Giant, you have beaten the mountaintops of the giants, you may have what's it called? The consecrated snowfields, and maybe even Elfale. You have your build, you have your max weapons, you have everything. If at this point you are struggling with this boss, your build sucks, and that's exactly why they are good. They're build checkers, which is amazing. That's genius. There's various different build checkers in this game. Valiant Gargoyle, they're optional though, so Margit is a build check. Godskin Duo is just another build check, and it feels so good to just destroy them with everything you have. The mightiest spells you have in the big ass open room. It's amazing. You even have pillars to like get some quick downtime to prepare yourself for that big spell. And honestly, once one is dead, the other one is not even a problem. Also, sleep, if you have sleep. This is we're talking pre the changes, which made them a lot less aggressive. Even after the changes, which made them a lot aggressive. If you just had sleep, you literally didn't need to use sleep anywhere, and yet you had like 1, 2 in the tower, 1, 2 in Rani Quest, 3, 4. You had 6 different opportunities to try if sleep works on these guys, and once you did, you realized, oh my god. There is no excuse. If you think this fight is bad because you can't just sword and board, you can sword and board, not that anyone uses it. If you can't just, with your bare ass naked, with the most terrible armor in the game, most basic ass knight armor, with just a claymore, if you can't beat this boss, they're probably screaming at you. You're probably doing something wrong. If you're playing this massive RPG with all these options for even strength builds, for every single build, to do crazy ass things with them, and you're just not even using Ashes of War, you're doing something wrong in this game. And that's exactly why this boss fight is good, because it checks your build. Build check, vibe check. These dudes, peak. Also, the second phase music is good. Well executed. I will fight motherfuckers on this. I love Godskin Duo. They're a good boss. They're unique. They're a build check in the one game where a build check is necessary, because this is the one game where you can create just insane stuff by the time you get to here. In other Souls games, like, it would take years for you to get your final build. Like, DLC in Dark Souls 3 is when you have your full build. But by the time you get to like Lorien, your build's probably not finished. Probably not. It might be basically finished, like one weapon upgraded, basic stats done. But like all the other stuff, they're probably not done yet. But by the time you get to Godskin Duo, they are done. They are done. I do kind of dislike it that they only drop the last smithing stone bell bearing, but that's a different problem with Elden Ring smithing stones. I already mentioned this, like, you always have to run to the exact same place for the bell bearings, for the golden seas, for the sacred tears. It's annoying. This game would have been 10 times better if you upgraded each individual grace with rune arcs to increase the amount of healing you get, same as in Dark Souls 1. It would have made it a lot more fun and like adventurous, and made it so that rune arcs drop for more people than just rats. But whatever, this is beside the point. That's beside the point. Placiduous Sax. Poo-poo. This guy wastes your time as much as humanly possible. Hits you with nothing but his final laser, which insta-kills you, probably. It doesn't actually hit you all that often. Just once every now and then you're in the wrong position. You kind of feel like you're in the wrong position. And then Placiduous Axe just does hit you with the laser. And he does insta-kill you. And you have to fight the entire boss, which takes like 10 minutes again. Wonderful. No, fuck you. Terrible boss. I used to scoff at people who said that Midir is a better dragon boss than Placiduous Axe, because like, bruh, ain't no way. That soundtrack for Placiduous Axe is peak. Also, he's way more interesting, cool looking than Midir, but nah. even though Madir is basic as all hell and has way too much health, at least his fight is like interesting. At least things are happening during his fight. Dragon Lord Prestigious Sax is like, stay away from me, the boss. His lightning attack just 1-2 hits. I gotta go away, or else he hits me with lightning. 1-2 hits. He barely ever staggers. Barely takes damage from anything. Resistant to everything. Terrible boss. Malekith. S-tier boss fight. So, Malekith is basically a souped up version of Red Wolf of Radagon. Again, very little health, but he moves all around the arena. You really need to find the spot to hit him. But when you do, when you get those good combos on him, when you use those heavy weapons and he falls to the ground after a bunch of hits, oh my lord, it feels so satisfying. It's a very like either you hit him, either you're winning or Malekith is winning. There's no like a clash between the two. I don't like really Gurranq in the first phase because he's such a diversion from this ideology of Malekith, the second phase. But also, like, Gurranq does stagger easily. He does not move as much. You can take Gurranq to the second phase quite easily. But Malekith as a phase alone is really fun. It's like, either he hits you and you're pretty much dead. As soon as you're like, oh no, I gotta run away and heal, it's over. He killed you. It's done. Unless he's stupid and starts jumping around and starts throwing those spells which never hit you, which you're actually glad for. I heard some people say that like Malekith jumps away a lot and then you have to run to him, and I'm like, bro, that's good. That's good because that's like a clever way of doing this boss, because this boss, if he hits you once, you are begging for him to get off of you. Begging, Malekith, please hop off my goat. Hop off my goat, also known as the Zweihander plus 25. Poison Zweihander plus 25. Hop off my goat. I need some time off. Malekith, I think we need a break. I need some time off, you know, to think. So every time he does jump away, you finally get your chance to heal. You can also parry him, which I'm like, why would I make this interesting fight terribly uninteresting by parrying his attacks? What? Kill yourself. Commander Nile, poorly executed. He's the worst version of Commander O'Neill. Take that, Pyrocynical. The reason why he's worse is because he summons one set of 2 banished knights, and that's it. And then he's just Commander O'Neill moveset, but with some extra attacks. Oh, okay, so you are a boring boss, but with some extra attacks that make you slightly less boring? Why do you exist? Why are you called Commander Nile, bro? Summon some army, bro. Summon your army. Where are your boys? Loretta. I like Loretta. I like the whore. Whoa. No. Sorry about that. I wouldn't actually put her... No. If Tree Sentinel is here, then we will keep Loretta here. The reason why Loretta is nice is because there is the whole, like, a mage with Thops's Barrier or Carrion Retaliation can do goofy stuff with Loretta. There's also other things like, well, she is a Tree Sentinel, but doesn't use her shield, which means that she can actually attack to the left of her, which means that no longer is a safe spot. But that doesn't really matter. She's sort of she's a Tree Sentinel, but more boxing type, where if you know the speed of your weapon, you know when to sneak in hits during different fights. And like I said, if you know the speed of your weapon, well, it's like some speedrunner strategy. No, come on now. Most attacks are basically the same exact speed, so you just know when a hit will or will not be safe to sneak in. So that's not really that much of a problem. She's only she's well executed. Fine. Leave her there. Her armor's really cool. Miquella. No, not Miquella. Millennia. Blade of Miquella. Now, were this just a normal game with no discourse about its bosses, especially this one, I would simply throw her there and leave it be. No? Move on to greener pastures. But this is not. Elden Ring was a popular game, and nowadays everyone is an armchair developer, including me. So, lol. Basically, what is so good about Malenia? She is a boxer type boss. Everyone fights Malenia in what I would say, yeah, I know how this sounds, but everyone fights Malenia wrong. Every time I see someone, a streamer, some YouTuber making things, they run away, they roll away from her. No, wrong. You need to roll through her attacks to her side. She will start stepping to the sides. You can hit her out of the steps. Her hyper armor does not kick in. You can box with Malenia. That's so good. You can fence, I guess is the more period appropriate term. You're fencing with her, positioning this and that. You can really just skeet on the edges of those hitboxes and just... It feels so good. That combined with the, how many opportunities you do have for charge heavy attacks, like heavy weapons destroy Malenia once you start dodging into her. Because she does like the first quick 2 slashes, you dodge into her, hit her with the R1. Either she does a kick, the spin kick, the roundhouse kick, at which point you roll away. Roll away from that. The follow-ups to that is just it's insanely difficult to dodge unless you're predicting it, but that's not really reliable. Or you roll into her after you hit her with your heavy weapon, rolling attack. She jumps off to the side, at which point you just back away. And then whatever she's doing, you adapt and try as much as humanly possible to keep the pressure. So fun, so amazing. Oh my lord, I hope the DLC is full of more bosses like Malenia. In the second phase, I don't like the spirits, the Valkyrie spirits which she summons, simply because that attack takes a very long time to finish, and that's it. It's not really fun. It is basically a Sekiro attack where you have to press dodge in a rhythm, same as you would press block in a rhythm during the fight. But of course, everyone seems to forget that about Elden Ring bosses because, yeah, whatever. Amazing. The fact also that she heals when she does damage to you is good. It means that even the best player, as soon as they make a mistake, you gotta be on point, which is exactly the reason why you're pushed towards more pressure. Don't be running away. Don't roll away. Push her. Don't let her breathe. Don't let her catch her breath. As soon as there's she's running away, you push that advantage. If she's doing those attacks where she's spinning around with her sword backwards and jumping backwards, that means you're doing well. You need to push it. You need to push her. Because if you do not, as soon as she heals, those hours of you backing away, trying to wait for that one safe attack will be destroyed. You're playing Malenia wrong if you are not playing aggressively. Also, she doesn't instantly falter to parries. You need to parry how many times? Twice? Right? Which is also fun. And the fact she has various different goofy timed attacks is good. Now, Waterfowl. This is the only real reason why even people who like Malenia complain about her. They could literally play her in the most boring way possible, but simply because they believe this is a From Software game. If a boss is incredibly hard, it's okay, as long as it's fair. So if it takes 3 years and I beat her and it's satisfying, then it's okay. There's nothing wrong with my playstyle. I felt satisfied, but as soon as an attack, which is clearly designed to punish my pussy-ass playstyle, comes up and is unfair to me. Bad! But yeah, Waterfowl, yeah, I said all that, I'm gonna eat my words. Waterfowl is kind of cringe. My problem with it is that it is... Dodging the first volley of Waterfowl is so unintuitive. Well, you have to run around her to desperately try and break her tracking as she's in the air. She's literally suspended in the air, yet she still tracks me. Come on now, FromSoft. You could have at least made it so that the tracking while she's in the air is a little off, a little worse. Like, come now. Because she already heals on hits. She already does crazy damage. She already heals. She already cancels her attacks. She already does enough to teach the player to like be more aggressive. But this attack was the final straw for many people to be like, no, fighting aggressive against Malenia, it's not the way to go. Clearly, the game is trying to tell me this is not the way to do it. Because, yeah, it is hard to dodge her Waterfowl if you are close to her. It is unintuitive to run around her and then dodge at the last very moment. Sure, you can count it in your head when you should dodge, which makes it easier, and the movement is kind of simple. It is just running around her. But, no, I don't know. There's something different should have been done for just the first volley. The second volley, everyone understands. It's a Sekiro type thing. Roll at the proper time to the proper type direction, same as a block in Sekiro. Everyone knows. That's no. But the first volley is just it needed so little. The tracking needed to be just a little less demanding on that first volley, and people would have understood much more clearly. Like, people who really want to learn this boss fight, I saw it. They tried running around her. They tried breaking the lock on, but because she in midair just so perfectly locks onto you, it just clicks in their head. Okay, I guess this is supposed to be the super secret, super hard boss where it takes 3 years and you can't get hit, not even once, and then they start playing against Malenia in a bad way. But still, once you do learn how to dodge Waterfowl in close range, because as soon as you're in mid-range, Waterfowl is not even a problem. Like, you just run away and jump as soon as she reaches you. You will dodge it, or she will chip you with minuscule damage. You do not care. If you're at long range and you can sort of sense that a Waterfowl is coming at around first phase's 75% health, you can just start throwing daggers and she will do Waterfowl from far away. Easy to dodge at that point. Again, you can also use consumables to bait her into doing things. Very cool. Do you need an opening? Throw a dagger at her and she will do the big thrust. The one that's really easy to punish. She will do it. Or a grab. And sometimes Waterfowl, lol. But again, Waterfowl is another one of those reasons why you should keep the pressure. Like, keep the pressure so you can stagger her often, so you can do more damage more often, so she does as few Waterfowls as humanly possible per boss fight. Really cool, really creative. I hope more bosses take after Malenia Blade of Mikola in future From Software titles. Just because some crybaby started crying about this, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it, From Soft. Please keep being based From Software. Stop listening to us. Do not listen. Keep not listening to us, From Software, please. No, Glora Blood. Good. Great. One of the greatest parts about Moog is the way he's sort of like Quelaag, which we will get to once we talk about Dark Souls 1 bosses, which I do plan to do in the year 2035. He changes his arena is kind of boring. It's just a big ass arena. Who cares? He literally reaches across the entire arena, so the fact that it is big as balls does not even matter. Creating distance against Moog is just not even a viable strategy. The length of his spear, my lord of blood, Moog, please. But in second phase, his blood changes the boring ass big ass arena depending on how he attacks. He turns like stripes of the ground into blood flame, which feeds blood, which It's so geniusly done. Unlike Quaili, which literally just creates a pool of lava which you cannot enter. As soon as you enter, you are taking massive damage, you are getting staggered, she's probably hitting you, you're dead. Moog is a lot more loose on this. He just feeds you blood, but that's actually good for him, because as soon as he procs blood on you, he gets a damage boost. And also you're losing massive amounts of health. That is genius. That is amazing. I am sort of iffy on the whole he takes away one tier in your physic. I mean, of course, he doesn't. You don't have to use the tier. You can just expend 3 Estus Flasks. By the time you get to Moog, you should have a max level Estus Flask. So I'm sort of iffy on that, but I'm not really against it. I think it's interesting. Anything else to say? Because he's pretty good. I guess the only thing I would say against Moog is a lot of his attacks put you on your ass. He just hits you and you're just flat on your ass, which is not very fun. One of the many reasons why that's not fun is... Sorry about that. Sorry. One of the main reasons why it's not fun, the same reason as Placiduous Axe, by the way, he does this as well, and he does it even worse. The animation of you being on your ass is short enough for it to be inconvenient, for it to not be like super inconvenient, but long enough for it to be annoying. Like, you do not stay on your ass long enough for you to like collect yourself and start thinking differently about the fight. It's like a minor nuisance that you have been flattened, which I don't think is the right way to go. At that point, why even flatten me with any of the attacks if it's like a minor nuisance? There could have been some interesting ground game mechanics with the entire game if you fell down and then whatever. Sir Gideon Ofnir. Now, shall I even say it? He is definitely on par with Melania. Not even... Oh, bro, he changes his moveset based on how many Shardbearers you have killed, or like final bosses you have killed. Bro, that's so interesting. He grows with you. Yeah. Anyway, Godfrey, average, which might sound crazy, but yeah. I wouldn't even say well executed. Yeah, let's... Nah, let's keep him in average. The main problem with Godfrey is just how sort of boring the first phase is. It is definitely a lot more interesting than some Elemer of the Briar, but in the end, all in all, the only real different interesting thing about these two is that Godfrey does this step on the ground, which creates rocks, which you can jump over and hit him if your weapon is fast enough. And that's it. Godfrey is not a boxer type of boss. Godfrey is not some gimmicky boss. He is kind of boring. Maybe you might appreciate that after many bosses which were like weird, goofy, gimmicky. I finally get the Artorias clone number 500. I was waiting for so long. But also like, bruh. Nah. The Horalu phase does get a little bit more interesting in that he has the grab attacks, but I also feel like they don't do enough damage. I might be crazy. I might just always get to Godfrey with only builds that have super high defenses, but for some reason it just does not seem to do enough damage for it to be threatening. And also, once you realize that the best way to fight Godfrey is to run away run away and just dodge through his grab, then the second phase does kind of get boring. I also do not like in either of the phases the attacks where he slams the axe into the ground and then pulls it out to create the rocks. Yeah, it looks cool, but it also wastes your time. Radagon is a well executed. He's very similar to Godfrey, just mildly faster. His teleport is interesting because it basically keeps you. It keeps the adrenaline. Like, you can't just do whatever, even though you thought you knew. Like, I know my attack might have a lot of recovery, but he's not gonna do anything that's fast enough for me to do. Well, now he does it. He now does the teleport, and he blah blah blah. If he does it from neutral, you can jump away from it. I think that's what I figured out, that you can jump away from it. To like, I don't like his poke with the hammer, the thrust. But all in all, he's fine. He's not very interesting. He's just like what a Gwyn should have been. Just a quick swinger from side to side, couple combos, very simple boss fight. Which I don't know. I get why, because of this thing, but also he could have been more. But at the same time, he is only Radagon of the Golden Order, just a champion, a mere champion, no god. Elden Beast, Elden Beast, Elden Beast. We're gonna keep Elden Beast in the green room while we talk about the Elden Beast. Elden Beast, as a boss on its own, is fine. It doesn't even need Torrent. It really doesn't. It really doesn't. Honestly, both Elden Beast and Radagon would have benefited so much from being a separate boss fight. Elden Beast is not that bad. The trick with Elden Beast, which I kinda like, is that it is also a complete reverse of Margit. With Elden Beast, the trick is don't go behind it. If you go behind it, it will disengage, do the long I'm running away attack, and then do stuff consistently. But if you just put on your big boy pants and hit Elden Beast straight in its gosh darn big bulbous belly, front and center, no running behind it, except for the first fire thing. If you just do that and you keep hitting it with your strongest attacks, it will stagger constantly and you get a lot of critical hits. That said though, Elden Beast is really pushing it with the running away at stuff. Not as bad as Placidusax, who literally spends most of his second phase running away from you. But Elden Beast is quite bad. The Elden Ring attacks where it spawns a ring and you have to jump over one, and then in the second phase you jump over two. It's based on health. At like 75% health, it does the first one. Near the end of its health bar, at like 30%, it does the other one. So you know when it's coming. But it's still like, it's a lot of running away. And it does suck when it does run away from you. Because there is no guarantee that if you stay in front of it, it will never run away from you. It will still. And when it does, it sucks. Closing the distance, it sucks. Just seeing the boss chip away at your health bar, bit by bit, after your health bar may have already been taken down by Radagon. It just sucks. Both of these could have benefited so much from just being separate. In that case, average. Over Radagon? Nah, it's fine. It is also sort of like a archer type boss, you know, a fake ass sorcerer where it's just casting, it's just casting spells at you, it's not actually doing anything magical. But yeah, you know what, whatever. Patches, oh, I'm gonna put him in S tier, he's good, lol. And yeah, I guess I might as well, better than Melania, of course. He's Patches after all. So yeah, this is the boss tier list. I'm not counting the other ones in the down here. like the other Astel or Misbegotten, Soldier of Godric, S tier. Crucible Knight, I was thinking I might rank Crucible Knight. I would have ranked them quite high actually. But nah, they're not that interesting. Cemetery Shade, terrible boss. Like, if I did, I would have just crowded this tier list with fodder that no one cares about. So, yeah. This is it. This is the objective, only right Elden Ring tier list. Enjoy it.